Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome. Bear with me. I'm just trying to bring it up on my iPad so I can see who's joining us. Our typical situation here with my internet. Okay, I think I might be finding it. And there we are. Okay. Let's see. Sue, hello, hello, hello. And welcome, Miss Sherry. So glad you could join us. Well, hi, Aunt. Glad you could make it. I take it you either didn't have to work today or you got out early enough. All right. Hello, hello. I got some fun projects tonight. Hi, Donna. Thank you so much for sharing. I do appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share it to a couple of my groups here. My team and over on the VIP. There we go. I do appreciate you sharing. That does help us grow. Looks like I'm a little crooked too. Let's see if that makes a difference. That's a little better. Oh, hi, Carol. Ah, good. Glad you got out. Carol, I hope you're feeling a little better this evening. Hey, Robin. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that very much. And of course, I do have Prize Patrol today. Hey, Nance. Hello, Sarah. So glad you joined, and thank you so much for sharing. Mom, you made it. Oh, good. I'm glad you're on an antibiotic. That will definitely help. Hey, Nance. So glad you could make it. All right. So I got quite a few of you jumping on, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to remind everybody it is celebration season, so for every $50 you spend, you do get to pick one of these amazing products to use for free. There are two different levels. We have level 1, which you earn for every $50, and then there's a level 2 that when your order reaches $100, you can pick a level 2 item. And the two level 2s we currently have are these really adorable dies for the lily pad dies that coordinate with the lily pad, lovely lily pad stamp set, which also coordinates with the Lily Impressions Designer Series paper, which is gorgeous. And the other level 2 that we currently have is this small bloom punch, which coordinates with the Thoughtful Blooms stamp set. Hey, Lori. So glad you could join us. Hey, Carlene. Welcome, welcome. And then, of course, today we are featuring one of the brand new sets in our January to June mini catalog. It is the Timeless Tulips set. It is a bundle, so you get the Tulip Builder Punch as well as the Timeless Tulips. And I think, where do they? Oh, there's the bundle. It's $32.25 for the two together, or the stamp set by itself is $18 and the Builder Punch is $18. So you do save 10% by buying the two together. Of course, I do have the monthly host code here. If anybody is interested in placing an order, just use that code. Hey, Lisa, so glad you could join us. I appreciate that. Oh, not a problem, Nance. Glad you shared, and I really, truly appreciate that. Okay, now to announce Prize Patrol from last week. For the designer series paper, we have June Burke. I have not seen June pop on, but congratulations, June. You get the designer series paper pack. And then Barb Thayer, I haven't seen her pop on quite yet either, but she's our winner of the holiday rhinestone pack. So I will get those out ASAP. Obviously, we have no mail tomorrow. It's Martin Luther King birthday here in the States, so we have no mail. This week I have for Prize Patrol 2 packs of it is retired paper, but it's gorgeous paper. This is the Picture Perfect paper we had a couple of years ago. Oh, thank you, Carlene. I appreciate that. So I have 2 lucky winners tonight. I will announce next week for the Picture Perfect paper. Like I said, is retired, but it's really pretty paper. And it's fun paper. It's great for birthdays. I will show you a little snippet here. If you look. So a lot of this is photo paper that they've taken pictures and then transferred it into designer paper. So like this was photo, the donuts, very bright paper. And like I said, perfect for birthday. So I will announce winners from tonight next week. So congratulations to our current winners and good luck to everybody. Oh, hi, Barb. Thanks for joining us. I truly appreciate that. All right, so tonight I am featuring the Timeless Tulips. I have 3 cards for you. One is just some fun Happy Mother's Day. The other, we're going to play with some embossing paste for a little get well. And then we have a fun fold here I'm going to show you how to do. Again, featuring our tulip. And this one's a birthday card, but it says hello on the outside, happy birthday on the inside. So we will be doing that one. All right, so we're going to start with our quickest one, which is going to be our Mother's Day card. So I'm going to bring in all my pieces for that one. And for this one, I do have a card base. It's Sahara sand, and it measures 8.5 by 5.5. I have it scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to grab my bone folder. I'm just going to smush that down. Oh, thanks, Lisa. I'm glad you like it. Then we have lots of other little pieces here. I have a die cut circle. I'm using the Stitched Shapes dies, and I used the second largest circle to die cut that out. Then I have a piece of Whsper White. It's just a scrap. It measures about 1.5 by maybe 3.5 inches ish that I'm going to flag for my Happy Mother's Day. Then I have some layering pieces. I have a Whsper White piece that's 2 1/8 by 4 1/8. The designer series paper measures 2 by 4. Then I have another piece of Whsper White that's 2 1/4 by 3.5. And that designer series paper, which comes from the Woven Threads collection. Oh, hi, Chris. Glad you could join us. This measures 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. And I will go back tonight at the end of this video and put all of the measurements in, so you'll be able to grab them there if you missed any of the ones that I just stated. But again, this is the Woven Threads from the annual catalog, and I'm using Rococo Rose, and that does coordinate with that color. Okay, and I also have a scrap for punching out my tulip. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to layer all of our pieces together, and I am going to warn you up front, tonight, I don't know what my problem is, but I have not been able to attach things straight for the love or money, so I'm using my liquid glue tonight because I need that extra wiggle room. I'll just tell you that the This evening has been just a frustrating. I guess we all have those moments, but today was, I don't know. Maybe the snow was getting to me. How much snow did everybody in the New York region get? Because I know we got well over well, it's probably just over a foot. And it's snowing again now. I just looked out the window and it's coming down. We got probably another inch out there so far. I'm going to layer this right here on, oh, oops, right about there. Try to get it straight. Hey, Miss Sherry Baker, how are you? I'm glad you could join us. There we go. Eight inches and snowing for you, Nair Dance. I think Robin's probably the closest to me, so we're probably the closest in number of inches. Okay, so next I've got my die cut circle, and I'm going to bring in my piercing mat because we are using a photopolymer stamp set. Let's flip that over. And I'm going to bring in my stem and my leaf. And I've got the narrow leaf. And I'm going to use the old olive. Eight and a half and still falling for you, Robin? Okay, well, we got about a foot. All right, so I just want to get that stem in there about like so. Got my chamois. I know my chamois looks pretty gross, but it works really good. There's our stem. We're going to set the circle aside for just a minute. And we're going to bring in our little scrap piece that we are going to punch our tulip from. And I got the Rococo Rose. And where? There it is. I'm going to ink that up. And I like to use the piercing mat because you do get a much better, crisper image. 5 or 6 down there by you, Mom? Yeah, well, Sherry, you're right down, you're next door to Mom, so yeah, about right. Okay, there we go. I know. I'm not a big fan of the snow. Just putting that out there in case anybody was wondering. It has not been a pleasant couple of days. But it's been perfect for hitting the craft room and then just going to line. I'm catching that corner. There we go. you do end up with an extra leaf. Just throw it away. Then we're going to bring in our circle again. We need some dimensionals. I want to add one there and one at the bottom. Oh no, Sherry. Wrong time for the snowblower to quit working, that's for sure. Add her. Then we're going to add a couple more dimensionals. We're just going to layer that on like so. Then we're going to bring in our Mother's, or our little piece here, and we're going to stamp our Happy Mother's Day. And again, we're going to do that in the Rococo Rose. Well, I'll tell you what, we did have some serious cold there, Carlene. It has warmed up with the snow, but it wasn't that warm, I'll tell you. It was only like 17 degrees this morning when I looked out around. It was about 9:30, I guess. There we go. So anybody who's in warm climate, we're really jealous here in New York. All right, so then I just took my snips and actually, you know what? I want to trim this down a little bit. It looks a little long. There we go. Oh, thank you, Nancy. It's a really simple card, and just going to put a little snip in there. And put a little banner in there. And again, this little back end is a little bit long too. And we're just going to trim that down. Put those in my little trash bin here. Okay. Again, dimensionals. And we're just going to sneak that right under. Like so. I think I went over too far that way. This one I did get over. This one you're going to have a little problem with the envelope, but we can actually fix that. Hang on. We'll make this a little bit. There we go. Now it fits. You gotta play with them sometimes, but that's how you fix it. Just trim it down. Yes, you could use it for a sympathy card. And this actually has a sentiment, may the memories of yesterday comfort you today, that could technically be used for sympathy. So definitely is a possibility there, Sarah. Okay, so yeah, that one's just a really quick and simple card that doesn't take a lot of extra work, I guess you could say. It's one you can put together pretty quickly, but it's got a pretty layout and all that. The next one we're going to do is this one here. This one is using the embossing paste for the background, and then I brought out the dies. They are the, nope. Yeah, are these ones? Yes, they're the stitched stitched label framelits. So this is a pretty good size set. It has the borders, it has this little piece here, and then this is the frame that I used for this background here. And let's see. I did do the die cutting ahead of time so we could save a little time on this one. So we have this little piece that I did die cut. I have a thick Whsper White card base. And I have this is your standard 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. And then I have another piece of thick Whsper White that's 4 by 5 1/4. Wow. And this is the piece that we are going to do our embossing on. But I do want to grab a scrap so we don't make a total mess of our... There we go. Put that down like so. And we're going to bring in our mask. And I'm using a mask from the Pattern Party Decorative Masks. These are found in the annual catalog. We also have some that carried over from our holiday catalog, which are the basic pattern decorative masks. And the polka dot would have worked perfectly for this as well. But I like this diamond pattern, so that's why we're using that one. So I'm going to get my paper straight on my scrap here. And I'm going to lay down my mask like so. I'm just going to grab, I've got some washi tape here, some old washi tape that I'm just going to use to hold this mask down so it doesn't move around on me. So we're going to tack that down. Yes, any of these cards, really, you could change the sentiments out and make them for whatever your needs are. Honestly, none of them are really dedicated to whatever I've done here. You can just make them whatever you want. Then I've got a jar of our white embossing paste. I was going to use the shimmer paste, however, my shimmer paste is all dried up. Apparently I didn't put my lid on quite tight enough. So, note to self, put your lid on tight. Okay, so I'm just going to use my little trough here and palette knife and pick up some of the paste, and I'm just going to put it down. And I'm not going all the way to the end of my paper. I want to stay about at least a ½ an inch from the bottom so I have room to stamp my sentiment. I like to go through, and I don't care if my edges are perfectly straight, because it does give it character when you have a little bit of a jagged edge, I guess you could call it, from the bottom here. And then as I scrape it up, I put it back into my jar. This embossing paste will dry hard as a rock, so you do want to make sure you're taking care of your stuff pretty quickly. What I did, because I sadly don't have a water source up here in my craft area, foolish me, I have a little jug, bucket of water here that with a little soap, so I can immediately drop it in. I'm going to carefully lift that up, remove the tape, and I'm going to put that into the water. Put the lid on so I don't make a mess. There we go. And that's our background for the Paste. So you see I have a little bit of a jagged border here, and that just gives it a little more character. So I do like that. Anyway, okay. So for the time's sake, I did do one ahead of time. So it's dried and ready, and I'm gonna set this one aside to dry. So now I can bring in my sentiment, and we're using the Get Well Soon. And I'm using my Memento Black ink. And I do want, where is it? There it is. So we're just gonna do Get Well Soon. Oh, Sue, you've never tried embossing paste. You got to try it. It is a lot of fun. If you like to just play, that's the stuff to do it. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside now. I'm going to bring in my die cut piece, and I'm going to bring in my little tulip bud, and I'm using So Saffron. And I'm going to stamp 2 of these little buds. One down here in this corner, like so. And then this one up a little ways on this side. Yeah, I believe you would really enjoy it. That's my personal feeling. Okay, now I'm going to use a little Pear Pizzazz to do my stems. I better bring in so we're just going to add a little stem there and add a little stem there, and then we're going to add one right here towards the center for our die cut or punched tulip. Okay, so now we're just going to bring in a scrap of Whsper White. I don't. Okay, we'll just use this one. Bring in our tulip, and this time we're going to use, what color do we use? Petal pink. Stamp that in the petal pink. Yes, Carol, it is very versatile, and it's one that I just absolutely love. We got to play with it on stage, and I loved it immediately. Okay, now here's a little trick for you. Let me see, what did I do with, there it is. Okay, I'm going to bring in one of that I have already punched, and I'm going to line that tulip up right there, because you know we punch out a leaf and a tulip all at the same time. So I'm going to bring in my leaf, make sure everything's lined up good, and it looks good. So I'm going to bring back my Pear Pizzazz. Keep that just like that. And we know that it fits in just like so. So ink it up. And like so. Now I can bring in my punch, and everything should line up nicely. Just have to play with it just a little bit. All right. There we go. All right, so now we have our punched piece, so we can go back here. We're gonna need our dimensionals. What did I do with my snips? Yes, the template does make a big difference. All right, so we just put our tulip down. Bring in our leaf. Then I used this beautiful petal pink. It's the metallic edge ribbon, 1/4 inch, and it is a satin ribbon, and it's beautiful. Totally love this stuff. Just gonna bring this in. Oop. Yeah, I'm getting everything twisted here. Let's not do that. I don't like my ribbon twisted. Oh, hey, Cher. I forgot to text you last night. I'm so sorry. But Bruce made it to work okay. And home. Okay, so there we go. Just gonna trim those off. Because this was embossed with the embossing paste, it does have a tendency to warp. So I do use a lot of dimensionals on this. because it does help. You don't hear anything? Oh no. Oops. Oh no, Barb. Hope no one else is having any problems with being frozen. Well, I don't know where that flew off to. Tell her, Nancy, if she still has no sound and she's still frozen, she needs to probably close out and start over again. Sometimes they get persnickety like that. It very well could be weather related. We are having some nasty. Oh, have a great night, Carlene. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so we have all of our dimensionals peeled off. So now we're just going to center that on our card front. I love these cards that are white on white. They just look really elegant. All right, so now we have our little element here. We're going to add some dimensionals to this. And there you have it. So there's card number 2. Oh, thanks guys. I appreciate the hearts. Okay, now we're on to card number 3, which is our fun fold here. I'm going to show you how I did that. Got a lot of layers. I will tell you, most likely if you do recreate this one, it will cost a little extra postage because I think it's going to be a little thick. And we know how the post office loves that. All right, so I have basically 2 card bases is what I started with. I have a Calypso Coral card base, which again, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have Sahara Sand, also 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I did take from my Layering Squares collection of dies, I picked out these 3 dies. Die number 1, this is the one that measures, let's see, about 2 and 5/8, about 2 5/8 square. And this is the one I am going to put on point right in the center, about like so. Okay, so So I'm going to take it over to my die cutting machine and I'm going to run this through. Okay, so this is what I have now. And this will layer inside this card, just like so. But now to get this look, I've got to bring in my trimmer. Set this Calypso Coral piece aside, and we need to cut this off and this off. So how I did that is I brought this into my trimmer and I used this here line, and I wanted that to line up with the it's about, I don't know, the 1/4 inch mark maybe. That's right here. I believe that would be your 1/4 inch. So I want that right on that 1/4 inch mark. Nice and straight. Cut it off. And that leaves you with about a 1/4 inch border right there. So now we want to do the same thing, and again, hopefully I'm in the shot here, hopefully you can see what I'm doing, but again I need this here to line up on that 1/4 inch mark, so right here. Actually, I don't think I'm lined up good. Make sure everything's straight. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, that was on the wrong mark. Okay, so right there. It was right originally. Trim it. Okay, now we have it equal. So you just got to be able to see those marks and line them up. So now we have that angle cut. Okay, so now all we're going to do is layer these pieces together. So again, I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. As a matter of fact, this was the card I was working on when I discovered that using tape runner was not an option tonight, because things were not going together straight, and then trying to pull them apart, it wasn't pretty. Okay, so that layer now folds over like so. Oh, hey, Mary. Glad you could join us. Okay. So now I got the rest of my little pieces here. I have, for the inside, I have another piece of Calypso Coral. This measures 5 1/4 by 4. And I have a piece of Whsper White that measures 3 3/4 by 5. And those will layer on the inside right here like so. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my piece here. And we need our little protection. We're going to bring in that little bud. And I want my Calypso Coral. Put it right there. About midway up. And then we want, did I use the, I did use the big one. Pear Pizzazz. And we're going to use, where did I put it on there? Yeah, just like that. A leaf, like so. Then we had the happy birthday. I'm going to do that in Calypso Coral. Bring our layers back. Hey, Deb. Glad you could make it. Okay, so we got our layers together, so we're just going to add that to the front of our card, or the inside of our card. Just want to go ahead, get that centered like so. Then for the outside, I have a piece of Sahara sand. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I have a piece of the Designer Series paper, which is from the Subtles collection. It's the Calypso Coral with the little script on it. And I have that cut to 3 3/4 by 5. And these are going to layer together. Well, thank you, Sherry. Oh, thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. This layer's on the outside like so. Ah, you made it back. Very good, Barb. In case you don't make it back to the replay, I just wanted to let you know you are a winner of Prize Patrol. I forget which one you got, but we got something coming. I think it was the gems. Okay, so there's that piece. Then I have a couple of squares that I die cut. I went ahead and die cut those ahead of time. And again, those are using the Layering Squares dies. So these are, the Sahara Sand is cut with this one. And the Whsper White with this one, and I'll tell you which one those are. They are from the Layering Squares. This one, the Sahara Sand is cut with a 2-inch. and Whsper White is with the 1 7/8. Okay, so we need to bring back our little thingy here. Set that aside. Again, we need the Calypso Coral with our little bud. We're gonna put that on point like so. And that goes right up to the top. Like so. We need the straight. I'm done with the Calypso Coral for a moment. Anyway. Pear Pizzazz. We got the straight stem. Get that right there in the center. Then I need the little leaf. Where did I put that? Ah, here it is. So we're gonna get our little leaf. And this side I have going in this direction. And I'm gonna flip it over. In that direction. Then we can go ahead and layer these together. Let's get some more dimensionals here. Yes, congratulations, Barb. Okay, so now I'm going to bring back our card. I'm going to hold that closed, and I'm just going to center that right inside of that die cut square, like so. Okay, one last piece. I have a little scrap here of Whsper White. And I need my Calypso Coral, and I need my little hello. All right, finish with the glue. And we're just gonna stamp hello on there, just like so. Let's clean the rest of these real quick. Okay. Then we're going to bring in from these stitched labels here, we're going to use this little circle here, and we're going to die cut that out. Get that out of the way before we stick our hand in it. So we're going to run that through the die cutting machine and get our little hello. There's that little guy. And of course we need dimensional. And we'll put that right there. Aw, thanks, Cher. Okay, so that's card number 3. It does not like to stay perfectly closed. It does like to bounce open, so definitely a bone folder. And like I said, there is a little extra heft to that, so I would anticipate extra postage if you were actually sending something like this through the mail. So here you have, let's see if we can set that down. And we have our embossing paste, and then we have, there we go. Oh, you're welcome, Carol. Ah, thanks, Mary. Thank you, Robin. You're welcome, Nancy. Thanks again for joining. I really appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Auntie. Well, thank you for the hearts, guys. I do appreciate that. That does help me with Facebook. They like to see that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they hide me. Thank you, Sherry. Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Barb. And I will get your prize patrol out ASAP. Of course, there's no mail tomorrow, so it won't go out tomorrow. Thanks, Sherry. I appreciate that. Thank you, Donna. Anytime, Mary. And like I said, at the end of this video, I will jump on and put all the measurements for everything on for you. So you'll have all of those. Okay. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful night, and I will see you back here next week. Night, guys.